Hey guys, it's Joe from Finding Faith. So, as I said before, I want to try and do fun videos once in a while. I haven't gotten to do many fun videos recently, just because of timing and, trying to get certain things out, and my life hasn't felt all that fun. But I decided, you know what, I need to do this. So what I'm going to do is I am going to adjust where you see me. Here I have this picture, and I have it on my computer screen that I'm looking at now. You can't see it because of the fancy camera angle, but I'm looking at the same thing you guys are seeing. So it says, "Beloved, do not take part in any of these components of Satan's spiritual structure." And they are doorways, these things that are listed that you guys can see, to demonic possession. Now, I think sometimes in wanting people to go away from certain things that we believe to be dangerous, we go a little bit too far as Christians. It's not wrong to be cautious, but you can go too far. You can go too far with just about anything. There's, minor bits of truth in this, and, I'll point them out when they come. But, I just kind of want to make light of this area a little bit, because I think we go too far sometimes, and, to get back in the direction, we need to remember, okay, there's problems, but maybe not as bad as we always think they are. Alright, so the first one on this is an interesting one. It's Eastern religions. I think the person who, or the people who made this sign forget that Christianity is technically an Eastern religion. It originated in the Middle East area. That's where Jesus lived. So on one hand, I can understand, discouraging certain Buddhist practices or, what have you. But with that being said, this is very broad in the way that it's describing it, and it's just, I think it falls short of having any real truth or value to it, and it's just kind of everything but us. And it leaves out some real Western religions that I think are problematic. I think even Christianity as a religion is flawed because it's not about Christianity, it's about Jesus. But let's move on, because I feel like I've made my point about a statement that's kind of a big overgeneralization and doesn't really address anything completely. Yoga. Funny story, I was doing yoga earlier today. No, really, it was part of a class thing. We had activities, that's what I got assigned to. It was fun. I think, yoga can go too far in certain aspects. I don't know how much that's the exception, or whether or not that's, kind of the natural conclusion of yoga. I just don't know enough about it, because yoga is not really part of my life or the stuff that I do with my time. But with that said, stretching, trying to clear your mind a little bit, I don't see how those are things that particularly get in the way of Christ, or that really open the doorway to demonic possession. And I certainly don't recall yoga or meditation being referenced in Ephesians 6:12 or Deuteronomy 18 verses 9 to 12. Freemasonry. Funny, I know, another funny one. I don't really know this person, but there's a Facebook group that I'm a part of where one of the guys, he's a Freemason. Now, it does sound like kind of an unusual thing, but the way that he's described it in the meetings, it doesn't particularly sound all that awful or demonic, and this guy is definitely a Christian. With that being said, I just don't think this is nearly the problem that people make it out to be, as long as you just don't make it your end-all, be-all. Illuminati groups. I don't think Illuminati groups are real. The most I can think of that this would really be in reference to are groups of people who meet together and talk about the possibility of the Illuminati, in which case there are just better things to do with your time. Not so much a doorway to demonic possession. That's how I feel. New Age religions. Okay, this one I can kind of agree with. There is a problem there, and I might talk about that in a future video. I don't know how much of the doorway necessarily is to demonic possessions, but I definitely don't think that's inherently healthy or the truth. Church of Satan. Okay, obviously. Yeah. And I get that a lot of people, see videos of Satanists and think, oh, they don't seem that bad, they're doing these nice things. Well, that's a good way to get people to trivialize the issue that these are people who are technically worshiping the devil. So of course they're going to do things to make them seem not so bad. I don't know enough about the Church of Satan. I don't want to know enough about the Church of Satan. It's a certain area that I stay away from. And I think us Christians should be staying away from that We should be trying to encourage those who are going down that path to turn to the path of the one true God who actually did create the universe and actually does love us. Scientology. Okay, yeah, definitely that one. Rosicrucianism. I don't rightly know what this one is. Maybe? Astrology. Taken too far, yes, but otherwise I just think on its own, the study of people's astrological signs, or how, oh, this is what's going to happen to you this month. That's not a doorway to demonic possession. And if you are interested in astrology, you know, just don't take it too far, like anything in life. Tarot cards. I wouldn't go so far as to say that they're a doorway to demonic possession, but, you know, it's definitely not something that we should be dabbling in. 1 Chronicles 10:13 makes it very clear that the reason why Saul died was because he broke faith with the Lord and not keeping the Lord's commandment and consulting a medium. Ouija boards. Yeah, avoid Ouija boards, you guys. If you are interested in Ouija boards, I would just encourage you to turn your interest to something much greater than Ouija boards. Remote viewing. Does that mean I can't watch television? Does that mean when I was watching Stranger Things earlier that I can't do that? Oh no. Do I have to go tell my roommates that they were opening up the doorway to demonic possession by watching the Dodger game the other night? Oh, come on, no, it doesn't mean any of those things. I'm gonna move on, this one isn't even worth addressing. Palmistry. Again, I don't believe in palmistry, and I don't believe that's something you should be really looking into for the same reason as tarot cards. But I'm also not sure I would say it's a doorway to demonic possession. Voodoo. I don't know enough about voodoo in other countries, but I do think that's something to be avoided. Earth worship. Earth worship is just stupid. It's not a doorway to demonic possession, it's just a waste of time. Wicca. So over the summer I actually did meet a guy who lived in the same complex that I was staying at, and he said he went to what was basically Wicca ceremony. He said it was scary. And you know, some people will, you know, tell you, oh, Wicca's not so bad, and maybe in some cases some people aren't, you know, scary about it. But God clearly does condemn it, and God doesn't condemn things lightly. God condemns them for good reasons because he cares about us and doesn't want to see us get hurt. And Wicca can lead to that. So stay away from Wicca even if it isn't directly a doorway to demonic possession because it is dangerous. Cyberpunk culture. I know enough about cyberpunk. What is cyberpunk culture? Well, whatever it is, it's not as bad as they're making it out to be. So just don't take it too far, you guys. Divination. Again, I don't rightly know what divination really is. Are you talking about fortune telling? Are you talking about trying to get in contact with spirits? Again, I don't really think either of those are inherently good things, so I would stay away from them, but clarify your term, people who made this sign that I'm looking at. Meditation. This goes back to the whole thing that I was talking about with yoga, which is, you know, roughly in the same place as the list, just a column over. In and of itself, I don't think meditation is bad as long as you're meditating on God's Word or just trying to generally clear your mind. If you're meditating, trying to get in contact with spirits, that's bad, but I don't think most people do that. That's not what most people think of when it comes to meditation. Personally, I have a hard time meditating because I end up falling asleep. And if you guys are anything like me in that, then I don't think meditation is so bad, especially if it helps you sleep. Vegetarianism. Now I'm just mad. Because I know Christian vegetarians. I try and be as vegetarian as possible except when I eat out or I'm at an event. But come on, you guys, if you don't want to eat meat, what's the big deal? Lycanthropy. So lichens are basically werewolves. And is this a thing that people do? Do people try and become werewolves? Is there werewolf culture in this world still? My point is, I think this one is pretty irrelevant, and I just don't get it, you guys. Postmodernism. Are you just listing things you don't like about society at this point? What is this? Backmasking. I don't know what backmasking is. Astral projection. This is a thing people can learn to do. I mean, really? Just astral projection? The people who made the sign, did they genuinely watch movies and figure out, oh, okay, this is wrong, this is wrong? Are they making these lists and saying, you know, these are things that you shouldn't be interested in? What's up with this? Necromancy. Again, necromancy is not possible, and there are some people who would bring up the argument that Jesus brought someone back from the dead. Is that necromancy? Obviously, it's not. And necromancy is not a thing as far as I know. It's not something you should be looking into. Rebirthing. Are those weird ceremonies that people go through. I mean, that's weird and that's stupid. And I'm not trying to condemn people who do some of the things on this list. I'm just saying that if you do these things, you know, there are better things that you could be doing, and I would encourage you to watch some of my other videos to learn about the one true God and about a much better lifestyle that is available to you. Kabbalah. I confess to also not knowing what Kabbalah is. Maybe I should have done my research before doing this video. I just don't care enough. I'm sorry, you know. We're about halfway through this list. I want to say that if you have a sign that's more about condemning things than about showing people the truth, then all you're going to do is just upset people. You're not genuinely bringing people to Christ. You're just potentially spreading fear. More likely you're spreading anger with something like this. Alright, let's keep going. LOTR. I assume this means Lord of the Rings, in which case the movies, the books, the video games, and also, you know, people who made this sign, I'm not sure if they're aware that J.R.R. Tolkien was Christian. And at what point does Lord of the Rings, condemning that, you know, what point does that mean we should condemn all literature that isn't the Bible? To me, this one is just a prime example of going too far. Firewalking. I don't know enough about what you need to do to be able to do firewalking, because I like my feet not charred, so I don't firewalk. With that being said, I don't imagine that most of it involves, you know, trying to get spirits to possess you as you walk across the fire. Not to my knowledge. So I don't think this one really deserves the credit that's giving, and I think sometimes if you give all this stuff too much credit, then you're detracting from the truth, which, you know, I lost track of how many of these I've done. And I think on that note, I actually want to pick this up next time, so next video I will pick it up with oh, that's a funny one, levitation. Thank you guys so much for watching. I always appreciate, you know, when you guys subscribe, like the video, comment on the video. So please go ahead and do those things, and, you know, keep spreading my channel. Keep living a lifestyle that really ultimately leads to Christ. And just remember, sometimes breeding fear just makes things ultimately worse. So be really careful about what you're spreading, whether it's fear or love, and how you go about spreading it. Guys, thank you so much as always. Have a blessed day or a blessed night, and I will see you in the next video.